Distinguished guests, colleagues, and esteemed speakers, Namaskar. I, Amandeep Dhanua, Indian Revenue Service Officer of 2018 batch, welcome you all to this symposium by the Income Tax Department on AI-driven enforcement for better governance through effective compliance and services. Artificial intelligence today is reshaping every domain of governance. And when it comes to public services, the stakes are uniquely high. Understanding these stakes, the Income Tax Department has called upon the distinguished speakers from the industry, the academia, and regulatory bodies to delve on the most pertinent question of the hour. That is, how can artificial intelligence enable easier compliance, lower disputes, and strengthen trust based governance? Today's sessions are structured deliberately into two categories. Category 1 of industry and academia, and category 2 of regulatory bodies. With that, I would like to introduce Honorable Chairman, Central Board of Direct Taxes, Shri Ravi Agarwal. Sir is a distinguished Indian Revenue Service Officer of 1988 batch who brings over 3 decades of rich experience across multiple verticals of the Income Tax Department. He has played a pivotal role in key phases of the department's digital transformation, including the establishment of Central Processing Center. Known for his strong digital mindset and technocratic approach, Sir has consistently encouraged the use of data and technology to strengthen administration, enhance compliance, and translate data into revenue through prudent approach. Now, I request Principal Chief Commissioner of Income Tax, Delhi, Shri Anand Jha sir, to kindly welcome Honorable Chairman sir with the plant. Thank you, sir. I request all the speakers to kindly come on to this side of the stage so that we may have a group photo. I request Chairman sir as well as the member madams to join for the group photo. All the speakers from category 1 and category 2, please join us for a group photo. Thank you, madams and sirs. I request the speakers from category 1 to kindly take the place on the stage, please. I request Abhishek Kumar sir, Ramesh Ravuru sir, Shri T. Srinivasan, Professor Mossam, and Shri Martin Wilcox to take the seats, please. Now I request Honorable Chairman sir to kindly set the tone for this symposium by his opening remarks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I am delighted to welcome you all to today's symposium, which is under the aegis of AI Impact Summit, Sarvjan Hitay, Sarvjan Sukhay, Welfare for All, Happiness for All, which speaks the theme, in fact, is a very powerful theme. right? How do you use AI for welfare of all and happiness for all? That's a basic intent. And within it, the sessions today would be AI driven enforcement in this summit. And it is a privilege to join a conversation that brings together policymakers, technologists, enforcement agencies, and academia on a subject that will shape the future of governance. Income tax administration is at a critical inflection point, especially with the enactment of the new Income Tax Act 2025, along with the corresponding rules, forms, procedures, which would be effective from 1st of April 26. It represents a paradigm shift in the philosophy and procedures, practices of the direct tax administration in India. And what makes it different is that going forward, it is going to be a technology driven ecosystem that would be put in place. And that's how, and that's why the role of AI becomes so important. And this gathering today becomes all the more relevant. Now, the new Income Tax Act, while simplifying the language and procedures, reduces interpretational ambiguity and brings tax certainty. And as I mentioned, since it is going to be more rule driven, technology driven ecosystem, the changes in the Act, the language in the Act would help in also putting in place the algorithms which through AI going forward would reduce and minimize the scope for different interpretations. The positive environment created by the Income Tax Act 2025, which is reflected from the feedback that we have received from the stakeholders, and the prudent approach of tax administration that we are providing since a few years, since last about few years, provides a robust foundation for sustaining and advancing future reform measures to reduce litigation, enhance tax certainty, and trust-based voluntary compliance. AI has the potential to transform every sector by amplifying human capability, by turning vast data into insights, automating mundane and routine work, and enabling faster, smarter decisions at scale. For law enforcement, this means we can strengthen how we prevent, detect, and respond, but only if we build the right preparedness and capacity building through high quality shareable data, secure systems, clear accountability, strong safeguards, and continuous training. And here, the basic theme anchored by the Honorable Prime Minister in Manav vision becomes so important, because ultimately what does Manav reflect? Moral and ethical systems, accountable governance, national sovereignty, accessible and inclusive AI, and valid and legitimate systems. So what do these words reflect ultimately? These reflect that while we have in AI a very powerful tool, but at the same time we need to be conscious about it as to how do we put in place and apply AI in our overall governance, overall welfare of people, happiness of people, while being ethical. Also conscious of the fact that if not applied with the responsibility, the results can be, different. So we intend to adopt AI to support enforcement with clear accountability, build on secure and sovereign data foundations, ensure access through phased adoption and continuous training, and validate systems for fairness and lawful use. We have AI and it's fast, developing. Within the income tax department, even across, what we need to see is how do we build our capacity, our resources. Because here is a solution. You have some AI tools, solutions, but for that you need to drive, the human has to drive the AI rather than AI driving the human. And for that to happen, you have to build that capacity in your resources, in the human resources. We need to be conscious of the fact that, okay, what are the pluses and the pitfalls in adopting AI. We have to be conscious about it when we are adopting AI. One of the features, I would just like to share one experience that I had just yesterday. So I was told that through AI you can actually develop some codes. I didn't know about it. So yesterday I asked my son, well, how is it possible? And I was proposing to develop an app for our training purposes. So he told me that, okay, this is how you can go about it, this is the open source, and so on and so forth. And I put in place some sort of framework for the technology, for this training module. Spent about 5-6 hours in the night, and what was interesting was within 5-6 hours, one actually was able to get a reasonably robust and matured code and a full application which broadly takes care of the requirements of capturing training in the department. Now, why I mentioned this example? Well, otherwise, but for this, I would say, facility, development of this code would have taken months. But then, with with spending 5 to 6 hours, one was able to come up with some code. Even if I say it is elementary, it is basic, you have a platform on which you can build on, right? So that is the power of AI. But can I blindly actually rely on it? The answer is no. I have to apply myself and see to it that, okay, you already have this platform, how do I build it up? And that is the potential of AI, that it actually would help us to not do routine and mundane work. It would translate our effort from a routine work to an enhanced work. And that is where our capacity and our maturity would lie. So this is an opportunity for us in the tax department, because we are all here in that context, but also as individuals, that we leverage on the power of AI, but we leverage it with being conscious of the fact that we have to drive it rather than AI driving us. So our approach needs to be practical with use of proven applications for data integration, risk and priority scoring, anomaly detection, language support, and workflow automation with constant testing and learning, so we stay aligned with AI advancements and do not fall behind. Now, this is also very important because things are developing, and when we talk about developed India 2047, how do we actually keep pace with it? So you have to actually align yourself with the developments that are taking place. And each of the organizations, be it in the government or outside, have to align together so that together as a nation we grow and we put these opportunities to practice and provide to our taxpayers and stakeholders, the best of class ecosystem and facilities. Over the past 2 financial years, we have applied AI in the department, though to a limited extent, but then it has yielded results. As you would all be aware, targeted nudges have led to 1.11 crore taxpayers filing updated returns with a revenue impact of more than 8,800 crores. And if we talk about foreign assets, then the foreign assets worth about 99,000 crores and foreign income of about 6,500 crores has also been, declared by the taxpayers on the basis of the prompts that have been given by the tax department. So we are moving from intent to action. We are scaling AI-based risk assessment, strengthening digital forensics and analytics, and building AI support for taxpayer services to make compliance easier and enforcement more precise. The discussions at the summit will help us refine our approaches, set clear government standards, and scale that works to improve speed, consistency, and fairness in enforcement. I wish all the best, and I'm sure that the deliberations here would be really useful and enriching. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for setting the tone and direction so clearly. Now, as we begin with category 1, we turn to industry and academia, the two ecosystems that are shaping the intellectual and technological foundations of the artificial intelligence. While government defines purpose and safeguards, it is the industry that builds scalable systems and academia that pushes the frontiers of responsible and explainable AI. This segment will help us to understand not only what is technologically possible, but also what is practical, scalable, and sustainable for public administration and law enforcement. Now, we move to session 1, Project Insight 2.0, where AI enabled compliance and taxpayer services are being operationalized at scale. I call upon Shri Abhishek Kumar sir, Commissioner of Income Tax Insights, who has been instrumental in shaping the Income Tax Department's digital ecosystem through Project Insight and other initiatives. Joining him are Shri Ramesh Revuru, Global Head of Engineering at LTI Mindtree, and Shri Nivasan T, Technology Lead at LTI Mindtree, bringing 3 decades of enterprise technology leadership. May I invite all the 3 speakers to take us to the next phase of AI-enabled compliance. I request the speakers to be mindful of the time limit. Thank you.
This is next.
The bottom one is next. Yes.
Okay. This will start.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Project Insight is existing project of income tax. So it is basically data warehousing and business intelligence project of department. Under this project, data is ingested from various sources. We have varied data sources, income tax internal data sources, as well as third-party data sources. So as part of data warehouse, we receive data from these varied sources. After aggregating these data, we generate various business outcomes which facilitate taxpayer journey. So first key outcome is profile view. This aggregated information is used to generate consolidated profile view, which enables income tax department in getting complete view of transactions of taxpayers. At next level, this detailed information helps in risk assessment. So as we know, by comparing information available in return as well as third-party data, we are able to do risk assessment. We also engage in e-verification and nudge campaigns which enable taxpayers to comply in voluntary manner. It enables very key taxpayer services like AIS. AIS is Annual Information Statement. Under AIS, taxpayers get complete set of relevant information which helps them in filing of return. It also helps in pre-filing of return of income, thereby facilitating taxpayers. So these are the existing services under Project Insight. Now Project Insight 2.0 has been initiated. So with the advent of latest technologies like AI, ML, and LLM, we are going to further enhance taxpayer journey. So let us see briefly what is the value addition this project is going to bring, especially through AI infusion. So when it comes to AIS, it is a compilation of information relevant to taxpayers which helps in filing of return. With new project, we are going to expand the scope of this information. So it will ensure wider coverage for taxpayers. Next is correctness. As we know, third-party agencies report information to Income Tax Department. Many times there may be errors in this data. So by enabling end-to-end digital linkage between taxpayers and data providers, which enables taxpayers to give feedback, we will be able to ensure more accurate and precise information for the taxpayers. Next important game changer will be conversational chatbot. These days, people are used to querying using voice and text, using various LLM applications. So first of all, conversational chatbot in AIS will enable taxpayers to query at the level of systems and understand various line items in AIS, any issues with the information reported. Wherever complicated issues are involved, it will be linked with grievance redressal system. So if any query cannot be addressed at simple level and it requires technical support, it will be addressed by linking it with grievance redressal system and providing technical support. Next is pre-filling of return of income. So as our information coverage gets expanded, pre-filling will become more accurate, more precise, and it will take into account feedback given by taxpayers, that way making life easier for the taxpayers. So these were the steps before filing of return. Coming to next step, after filing of return, how this AI infusion helps the taxpayer. So e-verification we discussed, it is mainly about matching of information reported in return with third-party information. With new Insight 2.0, we will be able to do e-verification in more timely manner. It will bring ease of compliance. As on date, processing of unstructured data has become quite better because of technologies like LLM. So we will have capability to receive and analyze feedback data which is in the form of free text or unstructured format. And as we strengthen end-to-end linkage between taxpayers and data providers, it will give better modus operandi to handle taxpayers' issues and better assess their response. Next, coming to campaigns and nudge. After we identify any issue, department normally sends SMS, emails in non-intrusive manner to enable taxpayers to comply. Currently, it is more static in nature. With AI infusion, our campaigns will become more intelligent because they will learn from historical data and outcomes. Not only that, our nudge campaigns and templates, they will become more context driven, leveraging LLM. So ease of compliance will be ensured in many ways, like we will have graded campaign, multilingual campaign, not just English, but incorporating other Indian languages, and scope of campaign will be expanded by including more channels of communication other than SMS and email. Now, coming to last step, how does it help taxpayers in end-to-end life cycle? So first key step is quick availability of accurate information to the taxpayers. We already discussed it. As part of AIS, it will be enabled. Next, our nudge campaigns will become more effective through infusion of AI. A very small fraction of cases where it leads to litigation, even we will be able to do litigation risk assessment through AI infusion. With the advent of LLM, it is possible to tag issues in the assessment orders, appellate orders, judicial orders. So we will be able to tag issues, we will be able to link judicial orders, and as a next step, we will be able to even predict winnability of the case, and ultimately it will result in reduction in litigation. So all these business objectives we seek to achieve through Insight 2.0, especially through infusion of AI. These are the business objectives, and how they will be achieved, what is the technology stack proposed, and how technical implementation will take place, that will be explained by Mr. Ramesh from LTM. Thank you.
Ma'am, I got the message. I'll make Maggie. I'll finish in 2 minutes. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for the opportunity to be here in the august presence of all the income tax officials. I want to leave you with 3 key messages. The first and foremost is the launch of Bharat Varsh. Thank you, ma'am. Bharat Varsh. Second, I'll talk about the importance of right action. And the last part of it is general intelligence in the context of CBDT. So the first one, we at LTM Mindtree, LTM now have this product offering called Blueverse. Blueverse is the agentic platform on which you can build your agents. Chairman sir spoke about how he was able to build these agents without writing code. And hence think of it as this is the platform on which you can build all the 5 layers that are required for any multi-agentic system to be built. The 5 layers are the foundational models, the LLMs, the data layer, the knowledge layer, the orchestration layer, and the consumption layer on the top. All these layers are pre-built, and hence the ability of CBD to build their multi-agentic system faster is what we bring. And this is what we've implemented for our global customers. What we're launching is the Indianized version of Blueverse, what we're calling Bharatverse, and hence purpose built for CBDT. Why is right action important? Right action, as you might know, generative AI is probabilistic in nature. It is going to guess the next word or generate the next word or the next pixel, the next frame in the video. But in the context of CBDT, you can't have something which is probabilistic. You need to move the needle to become more deterministic. And hence our ability to guarantee that right action in every condition, scenario, criteria is what right action is all about. Lastly, I was in the morning listening to Demis Hassabis, who's the Google DeepMind, and he said AGI probably is 5 years away. While AGI, which is general intelligence, human-like intelligence, is 5 years away, what you need is general intelligence of the CBDT. and hence right data, right context leading to that right action. We have filed 8 patents on creating this OGI, and OGI will be bundled with our Bharatverse that will get implemented for CBDT. I'll ask Srini, in the interest of time, to take us through the technical architecture, but a big thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Abhishek sir, and thank you, Ramesh sir. So, quickly, I'll try to make it very fast. So, the most important thing is that, while he spoke about right action, everything, how do I do it? So, everybody talks about LLM. It's not about deploying a simple LLM like what we are doing. Here, what we are doing is we are building something called as your SLMs, which is your small language model, along with the regular LLM, which will be using for the particular system as such. Okay. So, if you see this, the purpose of this SLM is going to be, it is going to be very, very much income tax based. It is going to be for the ITD officials, and it is going to be for the CBDT. And we are going to ingest them with data, which is going to be your income tax laws, your SSE information, campaign data, other references, and anything and everything which is very closely related to the department, which means that there's going to be a data control. You're going to have a quality, vetted data. Everything is going to be within the system. It is going to be secure. Nothing is going to go outside at all. It is going to be what I call as a sovereign LLM for this system as such. Okay. So when you look at it, how am I going to do that? So I cannot be retraining the entire LLM fully. It's not cost effective. So we use the concept called as LoRa, which is your parameter. LoRa is nothing but your low ranking adaptation, where you can just spend, you can do it at 1 to 2% of the overall training model cost. We can do that. So what it does is that it takes all the data. It does not, there's something called as, every LLM has got a deep weightage. It removes that. It does just the matrices, add the matrices which is related to this particular data, and it starts training on that. So what happens in that is that you get the proper details. Now what do I do is that still I need to clean it up. So I use RAG plus VectorDB to make sure that all the details which is there related to the retrieval and source citations, which you are going to get, that is going to be given to you. Then I'm going to distill it. Imagine this as a teacher, this as a student. So it will have the lower version of it or specialized version, like I'll call it generic and masters. So for certain set of things, we will use this. And quantization basically improves because you're going to be nation scale. So I want to make sure that we are very effective and efficient. So we'll be using intake. And the last and the most important thing is your ontology. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to look at your structure, data structure. Then we are going to look at the sections, the precedents, then the entire entities and the compliance rules. Everything is going to go inside this model. So completely we are building it for you. What actually happens is that because of this, you'll be able to summarize, you'll be able to have multi-language capability. Then you also have it is not your typical generic LLM. It is going to be a very focused area where it is going to do for any kind of task which has got legal intelligence, legal interpretation intelligence, and it will work on that. So advantage is that Sir spoke about context-aware nudges, and he spoke about, so India has got multi-languages, so we are making sure that we have conversational AI, which is multi-chatbots, faster resolution, and for the field officers and everybody else, you will have that directly being able to use it. Let me take next 2 minutes. What am I going to do? So how am I going to do this? So if I'm just going to take you 2 journeys. We are going to do 25 or 30 of them, but I will just have 2 of them for you to show you a sample. So the first thing is about the AIS. The first time the most important thing is that we do not want to frustrate the people because they are getting the data from external sources. We are getting external sources data, and we end up, if there is issues in that, it's a problem. So what we are doing is that first we validate them at the data source level. So we are going to have a proper agentic AI which does that. Then the grievances. When you want to talk about it, currently it is going to be FAQs probably, and it is going to be a bunch of probably deterministic chat is the word I've used. Now I'm going to we will make it more what I call as truly context aware and intent driven chatbots or conversational AIs, which will kind of enable them. It will take them through the journey for them to say how they should do it. Now the last, not the least, even then pre-filled data is very powerful, but if that data is not proper, we are into trouble. So what we are doing is that there also we are putting in the intelligence. So the intelligence is continuously there. Now this is going to reduce your overall submission by the taxpayer as such. Okay. So, and next what we do is that we have a proper, we are continuing the intelligence here. So we do a verification. So we will be able to auto detect and nudge the discrepancies. We are able to match the data saying that where they have gone wrong. Rather than telling them what is done right or wrong, we'll help them to do that. Then once that is done, this will actually go through that. And not everybody is intentionally doing it. I'm sorry, I'm not using the mic. Please, I think I'm loud enough to talk to everybody. Everybody's able to hear me. So I have a nudge. So this agent, primarily what it does is that it makes sure that compliance is intentional. We make it, the template is also very, very human based, like human based, and make sure that you have to go in. So here, at the end, the last, not the least, we have people who still will do it. We'll have problems. So what we do is that we identify agents, we look at the cases, every other detail, and make sure that the winnability is predicted. So it is going to, for this, the entire thing, if you see that the SLM which is being created is going to be your primary, what I call as an input for you to do this. Okay. Let me go to the next one. This is going to be general, though I put it as AI. So when I talk about a conversational AI assistant, it is for anybody and everybody. Most importantly, for anyone to look at the portals, understand where it is, and then go behind them is a problem. So what am I going to do is that I'm going to have a context aware, intelligent, domain aware NLP chatbot, which understands and explains them what I call as idiot proof, which is like a common man. He should not get worried about the legal jargons. Rather, tell him how what he should do step by step. That is one of the primary focus for me. And we are going to use certain set of llama. We are going to use the LLMs, SLMs, and also the SLM, which your inbuilt SLM, which is going to be built across. So overall, if you really ask me, Inside 2.0 will be moving away from it's about more about enabling intelligence to both to the officers and to the citizens, and making them more happy, and as Chairman said about happy for all, that's exactly the thing which you are trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you, sirs. We are already running behind by 20 minutes, so I request the further speakers to kindly speed up. Now, Professor Mosum, founding head of Yadi School of AI at Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, and one of India's foremost AI thought leaders, will share perspectives on the possible usage of AI by law enforcement agencies and the road ahead. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you for the kind introduction. I was asked to speak on the usage of AI by law enforcement agencies in general and not just on income tax. So I will talk about a little bit more general perspective. I should say that I have been fortunate to be, involved with some of the earlier activities in income tax department, and I personally feel that, the kind of support that income tax department in India gives to our users is much better than the support that US gives their users. I have seen that because I've filed taxes in both countries, and I feel that there is no equivalent of the 26 AS form there. There are just so much support that we have here. We can check how the work is going forward. Also, I'm not a law enforcement expert, so I got some feedback from Shankar Jaiswal, who is DGP Lakshadweep, and Sunny Manchanda, who is director DRDO Young Scientist Lab. So thank you to them. Okay. So to me, this is the context. Per 100,000 people, the number of police officers in India are much less than in developed countries like, and I will count China now as a developed country, in China, US, and Germany. We are at 155, they are at 200, 300, and so on. For judges per million people, it is recommended that we should have 50. We have about 15 to 22, depending upon which news article you read. There are about 29% police cases which are still pending investigation, and about 4.85 crore court cases pending for over 1 year. With that kind of a sentiment, and I don't know how it is for the income tax, but we are always in use of high expertise, and therefore the need to use AI in India is very high. Because if we need to deal with this setup that we are in, we need to somehow augment ourselves with technology. Now, of course, you can use AI in various ways, and the aspects to think about it: are you using in law enforcement before a crime is committed? Are you using it to predict crime? Are you using it to figure out what we should do to stop crime? Or when the crime has been committed, are we thinking about how to investigate crime and how to make judgments for it? And depending upon where we are, all of these places AI can be used. Similarly, AI can be used not only by income tax and GST, but also by military, by maritime, by traffic police, by other police, and so on and so forth. And also, what kind of data are we getting in? So for most of this conversation, we are going to be talking about financial data, which is structured data, but there's also visual data, language data, speech data, and bringing it together adds to intelligence. So you can now take one from the first column, one from the second column, and one for the third column, and actually create new AI use cases. So for example, we can do much better job of monitoring in traffic police if we somehow use the visual data in some ways, and so on and so forth. So you can actually start thinking about really interesting possibilities here. And in the next few slides, I'm just going to show you very basic some examples. So for example, in the case of image or video, in 2014, we were very proud that Surat used to say that 27% crime has been reduced just because there were CCTVs and there was face recognition. And if three to four people in a known database came together, police would go there and it would reduce the crime. Somehow, we haven't seen that happening in India elsewhere other than in Surat. I don't know why. This is really old. So, we are really poised to do this. We should really have CCTVs everywhere so that we can do a much better job of crime surveillance. A DRDO lab is doing a very interesting job of obfuscation. If you are wearing a mask, if you have an interesting, hairline has changed, can we figure out who you are? Of course, visual intelligence for traffic should be very easy. We still see people coming in the opposite side of the road or not using helmet. That can be absolutely automated with very simple imagery. Satellite imagery analysis is also very interesting. For example, the only way we know that China has a new port in Djibouti is because of the satellite images. It's very easy to actually, it's not easy to analyze, but we can analyze the data is there. When did we say that data is there for all the world so easily accessible to us? Well, today it is. And for income tax, by the way, you can also start thinking about where a person is living and what kind of locality it is and how does it light up in the night, and that tells you the affluence level, and you can start using that kind of information. This was a very interesting case where US Marine Coast Guard, a marine ship carrier, flight carrier, was being chased by 20 Iranian vessels in the ocean, and we knew because the satellites can see. Same for maritime surveillance. We have so many use cases of AI today, such as DigiYatra. We can use face recognition for searching of the missing persons, but we can start thinking about anomalous behavior, like anomalous vehicular behavior. One of the very famous car rape that happened in Delhi happened that with one car was just going on the road, taking U-turn, going on the road, taking U-turn, going on the road. These kinds of very anomalous behavior should have easily been detected if we were doing this. Even today in taxi safety, I know that women are still worried about taking an Uber late at night in Delhi, even though we have a panic button, because we don't know whether the panic button really works or it doesn't work. But if there is any anomalous behavior of the taxi driver, there should be a clear mechanism to say that the driver is not following what they're supposed to be following, and it should be very easy to prevent such crime. Same for taxi, bus, train safety monitoring. We go on to textual intelligence. A lot of people are interested in anti-terrorism and so on and so forth. Can we easily and quickly answer questions? For example, if we just killed Osama bin Laden and we gave you the laptop of Osama bin Laden, how much time would it take us to actually go through all his documents? I hope not much, because AI should be there to help you. For example, I was working on this long time back, and at the time, we could figure out who are the entities active in Iraq. This is what my system gave, 15 years ago, that these are all the players who were active in Iraq at the time. And if you want to know something about one particular player, you could just say, what do we know about this person? And it will give you a quick answer, a quick summary. This kind of intelligence now we have at our fingertips, and it should be used for figuring out who are the bad actors, whether in the income tax or in other kind of law enforcement. I can move on. Speech to text for quick FIR filing, a chatbot to support citizens. We just heard about project inside too, where there will be a chatbot, but we also need a chatbot for our own income tax department people, because they need to somehow deal and work with the data. And if they have to be writing code every time, it would be very hard. As Mr. Agrawal said earlier, AI can write code now, so we should have text to coding systems for our own IT departments, so that they can easily get to the data that they are looking for, and that makes it convenient for them to find the right information. On the more financial intelligence side, the input here would be more structured data, for example, right? So there are so many interesting news stories that are coming out, which makes me very proud that that we have a very active department. For example, it is just like yesterday or day before yesterday that 60 terabytes of billing data and 1.77 lakh restaurant IDs were uncovered, and 70,000 crore tax evasion scam was uncovered. This was just using the information and some crunching by the data, that by AI, that these people were deleting a lot of invoices. And once the system recognized that there was a pattern going on, you figured out that this is an anomalous pattern, and then an income tax person, an analyst, can actually look at it and figure out what is going on. Similar things have happened where large or frequent bank deposits can flag mismatches. ITR filing, AI is tracking suspicious tax claims. So it seems, it is very clear, our citizens know that there is AI that is looking at them, but there are still scams going on. And if we can detect anomalous behavior, that this is not the expected behavior, we might be able to find even new scams that we couldn't guess ahead of time. And if we start to put this information together, it becomes even more interesting. For example, Mule accounts. I have been told that college students have Mule accounts, but if we know from their Facebook, sorry, I'm too old, Insta pages or whatever the more recent social media is, that they are just college students, but their bank accounts are going through a lot of churn, it would be very easy for us to predict that maybe it's a Mule account. Similar other cases of tax evasions and money laundering could come together if multiple sources of data, from the social media feed, from the financial document, from the employment feed, from investment, from the various kinds of purchases they do. Sometimes these will be invoices. If these are paper invoices, maybe an OCR would be needed. So there will be a vision requirement. There are also interesting collusion rings. Generally, we have found that people who are bad actors, they support each other in the bad acting. And so if we create a graph around it and start looking at collusion rings, we might be able to find these people better. I think the sky is the limit. There's another one very interesting phenomenon, that where crime happens more, that is where we deploy more people. But once we do that, people who are doing the crime figure out that, oh, we have more people here, they go elsewhere. This is a game. This is a game between attacker and defender. And if the attacker knows what the defender is doing, it is very easy for attacker to change the place or whatever it is that they are doing, their style, and continue their game. So it is important to not just go where the crime is, but go where the crime might be in the future once they get to know that the defenders are going there. Yeah, I'm going to finish in 2 minutes. So people have studied these security games, for example, in elephant poaching scenarios, in coastal patrol scenarios, and we have found much better performance because of that. Let me take the last minute and say what are the challenges in the use of AI in these scenarios, because there's a lot of opportunities, it's a lot of excitement, but we have to be careful. First of all, we cannot make this completely autonomous. If AI starts to reach out to citizens directly and starts to make mistakes, it will create a lot of problem. People will be unhappy, people will be worried, we will lose the trust in the system. It is important that our intelligence analysts and AI, they work together. AI brings up the issues. AI maybe generates a lead, but the lead is processed by the human to maintain the trust in the system. Now that is where risk assessment becomes very important. Over triggering is also a problem, because if you make lots of alerts, then people become immune to the alerts, and we have to figure out how we can do this in a trustful fashion. If you don't do this right, you get into the bias of the algorithms, and it has been shown that earlier, when in judicial settings AI was tried, it made mistakes in favor of white people and opposed to African American people. And we are a very diverse society with so many castes and social strata. If we got those biases in our models, that will be very, very devastating. So we have to be very mindful that the AI bias doesn't creep in and we have a human in the loop. Also, it is important that we gather data in a centralized repository. We are used to a system where one hand of the government doesn't talk to the other hand of the government. Project Insight is trying to fix that. I'm so happy other scenarios are also trying to fix that. We should make sure that the data comes together so that intelligence comes out of it. The interjurisdictional boundaries don't come into the middle. The other thing is that our defenders, our IT personnel, the analysts, the law enforcement agencies, they need to be smarter than the attackers. They need to be smarter than the attacker, because the attacker will be always creative in figuring out the next attack, and if we have not been thinking ahead of time, we will be missing out. Finally, we have to make sure with all this new data that comes in, there is obviously increased scrutiny, there is increased surveillance, and it doesn't hinge on civil liberties and privacy of personnel. So these are the things that we have to be mindful of, but I think the sky is the limit, and I'm really happy that we are doing this, and AI is being used more and more in law enforcement agencies these days in India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for such an insightful perspective. Now, Mr. Martin Wilcox, Senior Vice President at Teradata and a global leader in AI-driven data analytics, will speak on AI-driven risk analytics of financial data for the law enforcement agencies. So please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Lovely to be here. I will go a little quickly because I think we're slightly over time. So if I say anything that you don't understand, or if you have any questions, do feel free to come and talk to me in the hall afterwards. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the use of AI and machine learning for risk analytics. I'm going to focus on financial services. And let's skip some of the preamble in the interests of saving some time. I'm going to give you some examples of the way we're already using the technology that I hope will motivate and inspire you to think about how you could use the technology yourself. And the first example I'm going to give you is anti-money laundering. This is a large US financial institution. We've talked a lot about data warehousing when we're talking about Insight. So for comparative purposes, this is a data warehouse that supports 200 applications, 5 billion queries a year, and manages 10 petabytes of data. So by any definition, it's a sizable data warehouse. But size is not always a good proxy for value. And this particular organization challenged us to help them deliver more value around anti-money laundering in particular. And their way of working previously was to copy large volumes of data out of the data warehouse to another analytics environment. And whenever we do that, we create cost, we create complexity, we do more data engineering, that means more maintenance. So we were able to demonstrate that we could bring the analytic processing to the data in the data warehouse instead of copying the data out of the data warehouse. And in that way, we can train models on larger training data sets, and that means we can train more accurate models. It means we can reduce cost and complexity as well. And when you get all done, what that really means is you can train more accurate models more quickly and get them into production more quickly, where you can catch the bad actors. I think a couple of the earlier speakers spoke about anomaly detection, and anomaly detection is also a key business challenge across very many domains in very many industries. This second example is a large and diversified European retail financial bank. It has multiple subsidiaries, and as part of its process of closing the books, it needs to roll up all the transactions from those subsidiaries and identify errors, inconsistencies, and fraud. And anomaly detection is a very complex and a very difficult problem. The first reason it's a difficult problem is it's a classic example in machine learning of the so-called unbalanced class problem. In British English, and I apologize, I don't know how well this expression translates, but in British English we would say we're looking for a needle in a haystack. We're looking for one bad record in millions of records. And that means training a supervised machine learning model is a problem. The other challenge that we have is what is normal can change very frequently. And so if we build a rules-based system, we tend to identify very many false positives. And those false positives overwhelm the human users. We have human users that are constantly chasing down false alerts instead of actually identifying the anomalous data. And so for all of these reasons, we often prefer an AI and a machine learning approach. And in fact, in this particular example, what we're doing is we're training ensemble models where we're combining statistical, supervised and unsupervised machine learning methods. And we're training multiple models per segment. And that additional complexity gives us greater accuracy, but that additional complexity also gives us a scale challenge and means we need a very scalable high-performance platform to deploy at this level of complexity and close the books faster than we otherwise would. And the previous speaker talked about graph analytics for collusion detection, and this is an example of the use of graph analytics for collusion detection. This is a major Asian bank, and the particular challenge that this bank has is around credit card fraud, around collusion. So they have groups of bad actors who move money between each other's accounts to create simulated income flows. But it isn't actually income, it's just the same group of people moving the same group of money around accounts. In that way, it looks to the bank that they have a high income. Because they have a high income, they're approved for a high without ever paying the credit card. And as the previous speaker said, traditional analytic methods find it very difficult to identify this kind of fraud. These actors look like they're great credit risks because it looks like they have a high income. And the way that we can break these collusion rings is through graph analytics and understanding the networks of bad actors. But to build these sort of graphs at India scale is incredibly complicated because graph analytics is an ON squared problem. And so we need, again, scalable and performance systems and to bring the complex graph algorithms to the data in the data warehouse instead of trying to copy samples of data out of the data warehouse. If we have to cut the graph by taking small samples of data out of the data warehouse, then the risk is we miss the bad actors that we're trying to catch. I want to talk a little bit now about next generation AI use cases. And at Teradata, when we speak of next generation AI use case, we're typically looking for 4 characteristics. And we won't go through all of those 4 characteristics today in the interest of time, but as a couple of the previous speakers have mentioned, one of the defining characteristics of a lot of next generation AI use cases is this idea of multimodal data. This idea that images, audio, and text system, and we can leverage those data in the kinds of ways that previously we've only been able to leverage structured transaction and event data. Actually, and I'll come back and talk about that specifically in a moment or two, but this is another example that I thought might be interesting to some of you. This is an example from Brazil's largest credit union, which is a company called Securities. And the challenge for this particular organization is in Brazil, there is a large unbanked population that's outside the formal economy. And obviously, it's very difficult to make credit risk decisions and lending decisions if you have a group of people that can't prove their income. So the solution for Securities is a sophisticated set of income estimation models, and they use those models to predict an individual's likely income, and then they make credit lending decisions on the basis of that predicted income. Now, this is a model that was trained outside of the database, and we have a technology called Bring Your Own Model, which enables us to consume models regardless of where they've been trained. So if you can train a model in PMML, in Mojo, or in Onyx, we can import that model, and then we can use Teradata as a parallel harness to speed up the training of this model. And I think this is incredibly important because we're at a moment now in the industry where everybody wants to talk about model training. Because model training is exciting and model training is cool. But actually, we don't make any money when we train a model. We only make money when we can deploy that model to production and run inference, and in this case, inference at India scale, to actually change the way we do business. And this Bring Your Own Model technology that enables us to import models regardless of where they've been trained, so your data scientists can use the tools that make them the most productive, but you still have a mission-critical platform that enables you to score models in production, we get very significant speed up when we use this technology. From the numbers on this slide, you'll see that in this particular case, for the income estimation models in Brazil, we were able to run inference 25 times faster on the parallel data warehouse by bringing the complex processing to the data instead of the other way around. And 25 times faster is the difference between running this model once per day and running this model once per hour. And if you run the model once per hour, you can change your entire business model. You can change the cost of credit during the working day. Now, this next example is an example of that multimodal phenomenon that we were talking about. This is, again, another large Asian bank. This bank cares a lot about NPS, about Net Promoter Score. They consider that Net Promoter Score is the single most important leading indicator of customer intent. whether the customer will leave or whether the customer will stay and consume more products. The problem this bank has is it has very little understanding of the drivers of Net Promoter Score. But when we were working with them, we were able to establish that they were capturing 50,000 customer chats per week from the online banking application. The requirement for sovereign AI very, very seriously. I know that's a very important requirement in this market, and we'll be introducing a new and enhanced sovereign offer later this year as well. So I want to thank you very much for your kind invitation to join you today. Thank you for your time and attention. If anything I said didn't make sense, please stop me in the hall. I'll be very happy to take your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcox. Now, I keep the question and answers for the end of the session. I request Member CBDT, Shrimati Mona Singh ma'am, to kindly present the token of gratitude to all our speakers of the first category. Abhishek sir. A big round of applause, please. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sirs. Now I request the speakers from category 2, please take the seats in the stage. I request the staff, please, to change the names. So as we move to category 2, we now shift from perspective to practice. Across India, regulatory and enforcement agencies have increasingly embedded artificial intelligence into their core systems. This segment brings together agencies that are not just exploring AI, but actively deploying it to strengthen compliance, improve oversight, and enhance citizen centric services. For this, we have among us Shri Suvendu Pati from RBI, Shri Harsh Podar, an IPS officer, Shri Ganesh, Ram Ganesh from Cyber Eye, Shri Amnish Pandey from SEBI, and Shri Shashi Bhushan Shukla sir from CBDT. All the sessions being so interesting that I see most of the audience sticking to their seats. So for the first session in this category, I introduce Shri Sovendu Pati. Sir is the Chief General Manager and Head of FinTech at the Reserve Bank of India. Sir will present Mule Hunter, an AI-driven initiative targeting Mule accounts. Sir, please.
So good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity for having me here. I would the clicker. I would say that I would spend some time on what initiatives we have taken and then come to the Mule Hunter. First of all, recognizing the need of the governance and the financial sector has been one of the early adopters of artificial intelligence, given that it's most of the decisions are based on data. RBI had constituted a committee and it submitted its report in last year in August, and it has been placed on our website. It had recommended 7 sutras or high-level design principles, and there are 26 recommendations, which 13 based on the innovation enablement as well as 13 exactly on risk mitigation. And together with this sutras, there are 6 pillars under which these recommendations are classified, and these have I would say that these 7 sutras, I would come to the next slide, these have been adopted by the this you can have a look. So I am happy to report that these 7 sutras, which initially we started as a recommendation or guiding principles for the financial sector, has now been adopted by the Government of India as the India's design or India's principles or sutras for AI governance across all sectors. So this is something, and on the right side, on the left side, you can see the recommendations of our RBI committee, and on the right side, you can see the recommendations which are published by the Government of India on November 5th, outlining those very principles. And so one of the foundational principles that we are talking about is, trust in the system. any technology, it doesn't matter how powerful it is, it will never be adopted unless it enhances trust. So people should feel comfortable by the technology. And there are other, and we have another principle which cuts across every application is putting people first. You know, customers, people, citizens, they need to be protected at all times. And if in high risk areas, high risk decisions, one should talk about, you know, human in the loop and things like that. Other thing that we have also recommended or talked about is innovation over restraint. And in that, unless we experiment with this new technology or this technology, we would never realize the potential. So there is a lot of apprehension in people's mind that it is a probabilistic model, non-deterministic model. There may be mistakes, but unless we still experiment, do sandbox testing, and do those kind of experiments, we will never realize the true potential of this technology. So there was a little nudge is provided to the institutions: do experiment, do adopt. There are other principles. I would, in the interest of time, I would not talk about them. So there are specific recommendations. And these are some of the recommendations which are available on our website in the report. If time permits, you can go through at your leisure. So this one of those recommendations is talking about bringing up something called the AI sandbox. One of the critical elements why in India we need to do this is because entities face constraints on account of available of compute, power, infrastructure, and also there are constraints with regard to availability of data. So this is something that we recognize, and as a public good, we would enable AI sandbox by making cross-sectoral data available and cross-institutional data available in an anonymized way, which can be used by the entities and model developers. And some of those things: capacity building, AI liability framework, another important element, how the customer needs to be protected. So moving on with the other principles, there are risk mitigations, how the board policy should be formed, product approval process, cyber security measures, red teaming exercises. So there are a host of, again, balancing 13 recommendations on the risk mitigation. Now let me turn to the application that we are talking about today. This is one initiative. Mule accounts in our banking system is a real challenge. And given the number of the huge volume of data that we have, we would never, humanly, it is not possible to do it without the use of technology or machines. So we have developed a mulehunter.ai, an application which is now implemented across 26 banks. Another 3 banks are in the process of implementing. And it has a lot of, it has developed 857 features which have been identified so far. And this is, getting better and better as the model is getting trained across institutions. So out of these 857 features, let's say for a bank like State Bank of India, only 50 features may be very critical. Whereas for other banks like say RBL Bank or IndusInd, another set of 50 features would be important. So this itself is providing insights. And based on our analysis, our understanding, and it is, relatively in the progressing stage of implementation, these are the ways it is getting implemented over a period of time, and it is deployed on-prem within each bank. So the data really doesn't go out of the bank themselves. But there is a central aggregation service that we are running, which should take the intelligence from the features to the central aggregation model. So what we have identified, there are those insights which are predicted, and we are rule-based engines. The banks which were implementing so far, they were giving 20 to 30% level of accuracy. But this Mule Hunter or AI-based models, the accuracy level has significantly gone up. In some institutions above 90, in some institutions above 80, and so on and so forth. As somebody said, the rule-based systems, they are handicapped. They were a handicap that human element would be required to analyze a large volume of data. But here this number is getting reduced. So what, for example, if there is, we have found out that there are, patterns like around midnight when the customer support is not there, a lot of Mule transactions take place. This is a new feature which could be, found out. Similarly, there are accounts where it is remaining dormant for a long time, suddenly gets active, receives a barrage of payments, receipts and debits happen, and then it gets again dormant. So these kind of pattern detections were not possible earlier. And for example, even if those accounts where it is detected like it is a salary account, likelihood of getting classified as a Mule account is very low. So some kind of BRE engine is filtering those kind of accounts and flagging only remaining accounts which the banks need to do a enhanced due diligence after this flag is done. We are working closely with I4C, and our one limited study which has revealed that those accounts which are predicted by Mule Hunter, banks initially, some of the banks classified them as not Mule after doing the enhanced due diligence. But within a month or two, we start seeing I4C complaints on those very accounts which are flagged. And such ratios are ranging up to 60%. That means it gives us the confidence that the model is identifying correctly the Mule accounts, whereas banks, constrained by their own, branch banking and, identification systems, they are not classifying it correctly. So had we done this exercise in some sample, one bank we, took as a sample, we could see that around 75 to 100 crores of money could have been prevented if the bank had, classified this as a Mule on the day 0 and frozen those debit freezes. So these are some of the early insights that we are getting, and we are building it as we progress. And the future is what we talk about is a digital payments intelligence platform. That we are aiming at a real-time transaction scoring mechanism. Means at the time of transactions going through, the score would be provided to the banks whether to allow this transaction or not. So this is Mule account detection is once a crime has been committed, we are trying to move it to a preventive action. So this is where again AI is going to help us. A lot of technology and working with the partnering with telecom mobile numbers which are suspect mobile numbers. So those kind of filtering and smart registry is being built. I4C is also providing us insights. So this is an ecosystem building as a public good. We are not only giving directions, but we have soiled our hands in building this tool, which is now getting implemented on scale. But yes, there is a lot of improvements that can be made with the partnership with across all the banks. In the interest of time, I would stop. Thank you. If any questions, I would be happy to answer. Thank you.
Sir, a small question. Yes, please. Organizers allow.
So we'll take the questions at the end.
Half a minute.
Sure.
Just lastly, the Apex court has given some directions regarding breach of data and data in these cyber scams and operation through AI and mounting such software to the banks so that these may not happen.
If you are talking about the Supreme Court, case, which talked about the digital arrest cases and have directed, has formed an expert committee in this. And Reserve Bank is also a part of that committee. But much before the Supreme Court gave this direction, this initiative was already on. It is not something that post-Supreme Court direction that we have started building this. This work was undertaken almost 1.5 years back. Over a period of time, 26 banks have implemented this and more are implementing, and it's a work in progress. It gets refined as we speak. So there are newer, as I said, new initiatives are also in the pipeline. And we are also working alongside the banks how to move from a manual based enhanced due diligence procedure to a hybrid of automated and human intelligence backed enhanced due diligence process. That would be the ultimate proof of preventing these frauds and preventing the money, hard earned money of the gullible citizens.
Thank you, sir. We keep all the question and answer for the end of the session. Now, quickly, I call upon Shri Harshe Podar, Indian Police Service Officer and an award-winning innovator in AI-driven policing, and Shri Ram Ganesh, cybersecurity expert and founder of Cyber Eye, to present cybercrime enforcement in action. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just begin by underscoring what a poignant moment this is. I belong to the 2011 batch of the Indian Revenue Service. I even trained for about 10 months at the National Academy of Direct Taxes in Nagpur. And today it's a great honor for me to represent the Indian Police Service here as the SP of Nagpur for a project being executed in Nagpur by the Maharashtra Police. So it's a full circle in many senses. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm cognizant. Thank you, sir. I'll keep that offer in mind. We'll let my DG know. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm cognizant of the fact that the exact nuts and bolts of a police usage of an investigation co-pilot may not speak to an income tax setting. So let me divide my presentation into two parts. I'll first and foremost speak about what it is that state police agencies such as the Maharashtra Police are doing in terms of being able to incorporate artificial intelligence into the investigative systems. And then I'll give you an overview of the Mahacrime OS platform so that there's an understanding of what its limits are and where it can possibly transfer for application within the income tax department. Now, to set the context, Maharashtra in 2024 set up an organization known as Mule, which is a special purpose vehicle owned by the government of Maharashtra. Apart from being SP of Nagpur, I'm also the CEO of Mule. The purpose of this company was to create artificial intelligence solutions for all departments of the government of Maharashtra within the government of Maharashtra. So instead of having a vendor-driven process, to instead have a system which is as per the needs and requirements of the various departments of the government of Maharashtra. At the end of 2025, through a collaboration between Maharashtra government and Microsoft, we developed Mahacrime OS, which is an investigation co-pilot that was launched by the Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Shri Devendra Fadnavis, and the global CEO of Microsoft, Shri Satya Nadella, at an event in Mumbai, and that's what we are presenting today. Now, let me begin by first underlining the need for an investigation co-pilot. This is not an investigation co-pilot that works towards providing assistance in investigation for all kinds of cases. So the very first step that we undertook was to outline sectors of police investigation that actually needed agentic artificial intelligence or a co-pilot. We identified 4 sectors which were particularly complex. The first one was cybercrime investigation. The second one was large economic frauds. The third was organized narcotics distribution. And the fourth was heinous sexual offenses. So this co-pilot speaks to those and not to murder, not to cases of hurt, not to cases of riot, etc. Why did we select these? Because under the special laws that govern each of these investigations, the investigation process itself tends to be quite intricate and requires a series of steps that the investigating officer needs to undertake. So in these instances, what you see is that while the numerical volume of these cases is quite high, simply because of the complexity of investigation, at every stage there is a drop, which means that there is a miscarriage of justice taking place for victims of these crimes. Now, the government of India has a whole series and silos of investigative data. I'm certain that's the case in tax enforcement as well. It's the case in police investigation as well. The co-pilot is supposed to serve as a mechanism to be able to tune into all of these silos of data and make sense and make an investigative path for the investigating officer of the police. How does this work? For all of these four heads that I just spelled out, there are intricate standard operating procedures that operate at both the central level, so there are directives from the Ministry of Home Affairs, and because investigation is a state subject, each individual state government also has standard operating procedures. So the way, say, a narcotics crime may be investigated in Maharashtra would differ slightly from the way it might be investigated in Andhra Pradesh or Telangana. The purpose of this investigative co-pilot is to be able to incorporate these as well. What does it do? Let me first explain to you what used to happen earlier. And again, this is very, very different from, because I've been in the income tax department, I know things are reasonably more systematized. In the police, things can get quite haphazard because of the amount of law and order pressure that the organization also faces. Earlier, what used to happen with all of these four heads of crime, if you had a narcotics crime and it was handed to an investigating officer, you had a series of supervisory meetings that would take place at the rank of the deputy SP, the additional SP, in order to determine the path of the investigation. Today, what is happening is that this co-pilot is able to ingest the FIR, all of the documentations of the investigation, and generate an investigative path that is compliant with the standard operating procedures laid out by that particular state government, in this case Maharashtra, as well as the High Court and Supreme Court judgments that outline what the best practices in that kind of investigation are. So, put broadly, what the co-pilot does is that there are four essential tasks that it does. After having generated this path, it also sends out a series of routine legal requests that we require for most investigations. These could be asks for telecom data. These could be asks for forensic data. It also makes sense of digital forensics, by which I mean telecom data in organized crimes, as I'm sure for those of you who worked in tax investigation are aware. There are vast volumes of telecom data that we garner, which we are able to analyze using the co-pilot. And then we also use open source intelligence, which again in police we use a fair amount of. So different open platforms, Facebook, PhonePe, Google Pay, etc. It's able to garner data from these that's open source available and is then able to make that a part of the investigation. Essentially, this is what is happening. You have an adaptive investigation path that is unique to that particular case. So remember, it's not just an instance where it has spelled out or replicated the SOP for you. No. It has adapted the SOP and the judicial pronouncements on that particular head of cases and adapted it to that case. So that's what it actually does. In terms of case ingestion and how this exactly works is, it ingests the FIR to start with. It also provides victim assistance, for example, unfreezing of accounts and volumes of money that have been frozen in cybercrime cases. It generates case diaries, which is a day-to-day progress of the investigation itself, provides guided investigation paths, which are compliant, as I said, to standard operating procedures, and it also profiles people on the basis of open source intelligence. Now, in my own district, as SP of Nagpur Rural, we have trained over 233 investigating officers for this, using which over 467 cases have been investigated over the past 6 months before the launch by Mr. Satya Nadella and our Chief Minister. The co-pilot has actually enabled us to win a series of e-governance awards within the state of Maharashtra as well, but that's not so important. What's important here, and I also want to doff my hat a little bit to the training process that's important. When we are onboarding systems such as this, it's important for the institution doing so to create space for training. I know, having been a beneficiary of it myself, that the income tax department lays a lot of stress on training from all ranks onwards. It's something that we can learn within the police department. But this is something that we stressed upon very, very substantially, and that's been useful and has also reduced resistance within organizations in order to onboard it and be able to use it. I'll end by concluding 4 basic technologies that are available from the artificial intelligence silo. In Marvel, that's the kind of technologies that we work upon. First is large language models, which are, I think it was spelled out in the first session, which is essentially artificial intelligence models that have been working with large amounts of text and are able to interact with government in very akin to a human being. The second is graph neural networks, which are artificial intelligence systems that make sense of siloed sets of data and the relational analysis between them. So in organized crime, that's very useful in terms of being able to do a hub and spoke of who's at the center of that crime. In Maharashtra, we have an act called Makoka, as you might be aware about, where organized crime, you need to be able to find out who the center of the gang is. Third is agentic artificial intelligence, which is co-pilots such as this, which are triggering workflows and actually walking individuals through them. And the last is big data analytics, where there's structured analysis of large sets of data. That's the kind of work that we've been doing at Marvel, and this is an instance of that. I'll end with that. It's been a pleasure and a privilege. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Now I introduce Shri Avnish Pandey, Executive Director at SEBI and a national voice on technology strategy and cybersecurity governance. Sir, please.
First of all, a very good evening to all of you, and it's indeed a great privilege to be here, and I thank CBDT for giving this opportunity. For past 2 days, we have been listening to a lot of AI-based initiatives all over the place, but something that really had stuck SEBI for some time back is the most important is to build capacity in undertaking these AI initiatives. And to that effect, we have truly democratized the AI development within the organization. And I take quite a pride in introducing some of the names which I have here in the crowd. Mr. Sandeep Kriplani, Mr. Rohit Saraf, Vikas Komera, Rajuddin Khan, and Pramit. Pramit is the youngest of them. And I'll tell you why this is important is because some of the initiatives that I'm going to present today to you have been handcrafted by these intellectual minds, and they are not from the IT department from SEBI. So that's very important. It's truly democratized to that extent. Yeah, so from SEBI's perspective, we have a quite a broad mandate to protect the interest of the investors, to promote the development, and to regulate the securities market. It's a fairly large mandate that we have, and to that effect, we craft regulations and seek compliances. So compliances are a major part of our regulatory processes. We also conduct investigations and initiate enforcement proceedings from the data that we collect from various sources. And going forward, we also adjudicate issue directions and levy penalties. Why am I saying this? This is to say that we have a varied use cases within the organization where we have started to use the power of AI. There are 4 use cases that I would like to mention over here that have been kind of doing a good in terms of generating valuable output for us. First of all is the radar, which is a tool which ensures very proactive compliance for the advertisements that are being issued by regulated entities, specifically mutual funds. Sudarshan is a very important tool which is able to track the contexts that are unregistered and misleading fin influencers are putting onto the social media. InfoMerge is the workflow intelligence that we have built to ensure that our investigation processes are more efficient and we are able to undertake that activity faster. Security compliance and audit, cybersecurity compliance audit is some tool that we have built to ensure that the cybersecurity compliances that are being sent to SEBI are well read and we are making some good meaning out of it. So I'll take one by one of them. Well, I'm slightly cognizant of the time that I have in hand. So first of all is the radar, which I said it takes care of all the advertisement that mutual fund industries are putting in. The tool basically looks into whether the advertisement which is put in is compliant to the regulatory requirements as mandated by the code of conduct. Some of the non-compliance that this tool is able to capture is illustrated here, of which most of the compliance that we have caught is in terms of non-disclosures and not ensuring the disclaimers are adequately put. Moving next is Sudarshan, and which is trying to combat lot of financial frauds, which also includes investment frauds that are part of the securities market domain, and we are directly involved with that. Our media monitoring cell in SEBI has flagged nearly 1 lakh instances of misleading contents on this platform. To strengthen our approach on this, we built this product called Sudarshan, which is doing a continuous monitoring. It's a multimodal tool and works on multiple languages as well. Knowing that some of these scrupulous guys are using the capability of languages to defraud people. It has got enhanced detection capabilities, and which we validate against with the data which is present within SEBI. By this, we are able to try to figure out the financial misinformation and ensuring the financial information integrity. InfoMerge, as we call a tool that is for our investigation process. As you all know, the investigation process starts from case initiation, data collation, data analysis, and report generation. By using this tool, we are able to systematize all the data which is collected from various sources into one format. We are able to look into the company profile, designations, and financials of a particular company. Also are able to figure out what are the corporate announcements that were made during the time of the investigation period. Visualization is the effect by which people are able to see the pattern, and the tool has got a very innovative tools to give that. Finally, the report writing. From one investigating officer to another investigating officer, there has been always found a variance. To ensure that we have a standardized mechanism to get a report and get it in an orderly manner, this particular tool lets do the last part of writing the report. Of course, those reports again go for a read as a human in loop. Coming to the last system that we have very recently launched, SEBI initiated a cyber resilience and cyber security framework, based on which we have started to get a lot of compliances, which means controls levels and artifacts that are being submitted for those compliances. So this particular tool autonomously reads those compliances and flags where the audit report has got a missing. So we have got a very novel 3 architectural based framework, so that if one particular model is hallucinating, other models do take care of and give the a reasonable, meaningful analysis. So what it is ending up as, apart from giving a dashboards and real-time visibility, it is ensuring that at SEBI we at any point in time are able to do a relative analysis of all our intermediaries and know where they stand in cybersecurity measures. Yeah, so that was a very quick sorry if I've been too fast, but yeah, I was trying to keep pace with the seconds that were clicking. Thank you very much. It was nice to be here.
Thank you, sir. It ended in a very clockwork type manner. Now we are coming to the final technical session. Shri Shashi Bhushan Shukla, Principal Commissioner at CBDT, a key architect behind Data Analytics Cell and Saksham Nudge Initiative, will speak on the use of AI for ease of compliance in tax administration. Sir, we look forward to your insights.
Thank you, Aman. Good evening, everyone. Now I think we are almost at the closing of this session, and we're left with maybe 5-7 minutes. But this is being the last session, we can take some more minutes, I think. So this is the journey of Income Tax Department. The Income Tax Department has been pioneer in the adoption of state-of-art technology, and we have started using technology quite early. I have given the graph of last 25 years. So if we see, the filing of TDS return started in 2004, followed by e-filing of returns. And then TaxNet has been launched. CPC has started in 2009, and then CPC TDS. And as has been mentioned by Professor Mausham, that the Income Tax Department is highly taxpayer service oriented, and we show them the financial information which is available with the department. We started showing 26 AS from 2017 onwards, and then we have automated several processes of Income Tax Department, and the department has launched online issuance of Form 16, the faceless assessment, e-filing portal in 2021, and National Cyber Forensic Policy was launched in 2024. And last to last year, we started initiative called Nudge, which is the non-intrusive uses of data to guide and enable taxpayers. And in the first session, my colleague has talked about Insight 2.0, and there are several projects which are now getting updated with the state-of-art technology, including the uses of artificial intelligence. So to enhance the taxpayer's experience for filing the tax, for the ease of tax compliance, so the department is using the technology, including the artificial intelligence, keeping the taxpayer in the heart of it. So if we talk about the data, what Income Tax Department has, there is a vast data which we have from the several sources, and one of, for example, the PAN, 80 crore people are already issued PAN. Now it might have reached a little more. ITRs are filed more than 9 crore, 12 crore people are paying taxes, and then SFT is more than 650 crore data fields we get for this specified financial transaction, which are populated in AIS, which is a huge data which is available with the department. And then we collect data under Rule 114B, Form 60 is submitted, then a specified financial transaction 61A is submitted. We also receive information from foreign jurisdictions. More than 100 countries share the foreign asset information, foreign income information as well with India. So we receive around 50 lakh pieces of information every year under CRS and FATCA framework, which is automatic exchange of information. And we also share information in respect of non-residents who are having the foreign assets in India, who are having the assets in India with the respective foreign jurisdictions. It is around 1 crore pieces of information which is transacted every year. So this is a lot of information which we have, lot of data we have, including the assessment order, including the appeal orders. This data can be utilized within our projects which we have Insight 2.0 and ITBA, CPC for generation of intelligence, for better compliance, for the awareness of the taxpayers, and for the information of taxpayers for the payment of correct taxes. This initiative, which is a nudge initiative, was started 2 years back, where we are using the data which is coming from various sources, including from foreign jurisdiction. And this is being used for educating the taxpayer, for guiding the taxpayer to comply with the tax laws and to uh, correct their filing, to declare their correct assets and income. So this nudge has the 7-step strategy, which is in the word saksham, which is meaning in Hindi, saksham means empowered in English. So this is basically, this strategy is empowering the department as well as empowering the taxpayers for filing the correct tax. So this 7-step strategy is basically how we are using the data, which is a sankalan, basically compilation and collection of data. As we have discussed, we have lot of data which is coming from diverse sources. Then Anushandhan, how we are analyzing and doing research over the data for generation of insight and intelligence, for the risk identification, and how we are acting on the data, which is Kriyanvan, actionable interventions for the targeted outcomes. Then we are doing the communication, basically how the taxpayers, to inform to the taxpayers that this may be which you need to review your filing, and maybe you'll have to change your income or your computation. So this is where we are using the behavioral insight and guiding taxpayers to pay the correct taxes. And at the same time, we are also hand-holding, we are also facilitating them through the 5th step, which is called Astak, and then Adhikar, enablement of the taxpayer for the payment of taxes. We have the legal changes have been brought in the Income Tax Act, where now the taxpayers are allowed to update their ITR by payment of additional taxes and to correct their income. So this is possible now with the payment of additional tax. So now we use this, asking the taxpayers, it can be for 4 years, you can come out with the right taxes at the end. Basically, it is a preemptive exercise where no punitive action is taken against the taxpayers, no penal consequences. So the taxpayers are allowed to change their ITR which has been filed originally. And then this whole cycle is then completed through evaluation, where we take the feedback of taxpayers, the responses we receive, they are analyzed, and all these steps can be further improvised so that the next nudge, or when we can communicate with the taxpayers with a better information and the better communication. And this strategy has actually yielded very good result, where the taxpayer have responded well, it has been received well, the taxpayers, the trust shown by the department has given a very good result. So I have given few case studies here, some outcomes, which has also been discussed by chairman in his opening remarks. So if we see the current foreign asset nudge which has been carried out in the month of December, and we have sent messages to the taxpayer stating that you may have some foreign asset which has not been reported in your ITR, and the taxpayer have then revised their ITR, and 1.57 lakh taxpayers, they have disclosed their foreign assets which is worth 99,000 crore. So this exercise shows that once the taxpayers are informed that this is what the department knows about and you have missed it while filing your ITR, they may come forward and they can declare. So this has resulted into 6,540 crore of additional income and 99,000 crore of assets. Similarly, we have also taken up few more exercises. The other one which I have mentioned is regarding the bogus donations and the bogus deductions claimed by the taxpayers by taking certain fake receipts from unrecognized political parties, and some of them are maybe the entities, the NGOs which are not eligible for donation. So here also result has been quite encouraging. 6.96 lakhs taxpayers, they have revised their ITR and they have withdrawn their claims worth 9,879 crore, and which has given the department additional taxes of 1758 crore. And if we see how these campaigns have actually resulted into the behavioral change in the taxpayer, so these two graphs explain it. if you see the foreign asset behavior pattern, how the taxpayers have increased the filing of taxpayer foreign assets, now it has increased from 1.59 lakhs, which was before the nudge campaign started. Now it is 4.7 lakhs. So almost 3 times increase in a span of 2 years by this nudge campaign. And similarly, the claim of deduction has also gone down in last 2 years, and it has reached to from almost halved 7,400 crore to almost 4,000 crore. So this is what is the power of data and the data analytics which we do by using the technology. And as has been discussed in Insight 2.0 project, that with the use of artificial intelligence and better technology, we will be able to identify the anomalies much faster, and we can nudge taxpayers maybe at the time of filing of return or much before when the return is processed. This also because there's many representatives from law enforcement agencies, I wanted to discuss this particular topic as well. The India is leading one project which is based on the misuse and threats of AI in the tax crime and financial crimes. So it is a 17 countries group which is being led by India, and we request all the LEAs, if they have come across any misuse or any challenge of AI, the risk of AI in their regular working and the administration of their institutes, they can communicate with us, so that we can at the international level we can take it forward in a collaborative manner, and we should try to find solution to various misuses. The misuses which have been reported so far are basically the use of synthetic identities for you and the deepfake documents and fabrication of sometimes court orders. So these are the AI assisted misuses which are happening, and which are basically a challenge for all law enforcement agencies. The RBI has come out with the Mule Hunter software. Maybe for the synthetic identity identification also we can use AI, where it can be further support the law enforcement agencies in identifying such misuses, where we can take some preemptive measure before basically this attack takes place. So this is, I'll request, we will also send communication, but this can be kept in mind that this project is going on. And if we talk about the future use of AI in department, basically if we see how we will be able to enable our taxpayers to pay correct taxes at the right time without any penalty or without any additional tax. So this is what we are trying in the department, that we should use AI in an informative manner. It should also be able to cross-validate various data sources, so that if there is any anomaly, it can be predicted on real-time basis and in a proactive manner. So when I'm saying real-time basis, so maybe at the time when the taxpayer is preparing for filing of return, that time we can show the data, the financial data which we have received from third party. At the time of filing of return, we can use prompts where the taxpayers can be informed if they are making any wrongful claims, or if they are making reporting any they are reporting or not reporting assets which may be in the knowledge of the department. And then once the return is filed, before the verification, we can further analyze the returns and we can prompt the taxpayers to correct before the processing, or after the processing, then we can carry out the further the nudge exercise. So all this nudge will have a complete 360 degree program, where we can enable taxpayers right from the beginning to pay the correct taxes. So this is what we plan to use the AI where the taxpayer services are concerned. And for the administration, obviously we are making ourselves capable, training our manpower, and adapting the technology to serve better the country and also to collect revenue correctly on time. With this, I will end, and this is the closing thoughts. So it is for everyone to read. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Yes, so we are towards smarter systems, better services, and stronger trust. With that, I request Principal Chief Commissioner of Income Tax Delhi, Shri Anand Jha sir, to kindly present a token of gratitude to the second category, category 2 speakers of this evening. Uh, sir, Shri Avnish Pandey sir, Shri Suvendu Pati, Shri Shashi Bhushan Shukla sir, Shri Harshe Podar, thank you, sir. Thank you, sirs. Now I invite Shri Mahadevan K, Joint Commissioner of Income Tax, for the vote of thanks.
Respected Honorable Chairman, distinguished speakers, eminent guests, colleagues and participants. It is my privilege to propose vote of thanks at the conclusion of this highly enriching session. Today's deliberations have clearly demonstrated that artificial intelligence is no longer aspirational, it is operational. I begin by expressing sincere gratitude to Honorable Chairman CBDT Sri Ravi Agrawal sir for his visionary opening remarks. Particularly, sir highlighted how the new Income Tax Act would be tech-driven to reduce the litigations over interpretations. And sir emphasized the use of AI in ethical manner with ensuring accountability and transparency. Sir set the strategic direction for AI-enabled trust-based governance. The session on Project Insight 2.0 by Mr. Srinivasan T, Sri Abhishek Kumar and Sri Ramesh Reveru demonstrated how Insight 2.0 is reshaping the taxpayer's life cycle through AI-enabled pre-filing, conversational chatbots, behavioral nudge, AI-based litigation risk assessment, and winnability prediction. The vision of a sovereign SLM for the tax domain stands out as a transformative initiative. The session on a roadmap on AI for law enforcement by Professor Mausam outlined AI applications across preventive, predictive, and investigative domains using visual, textual, financial, and multimodal analytics. He highlighted use cases such as facial recognition, anomaly detection, and crime forecasting to enable intelligence-led enforcement. He emphasized human and AI teaming and explainability, bias mitigation, and civil liberties as essential safeguards. These aspects brought conceptual clarity and policy depth to the discussion. The session on AI-driven risk analytics by Mr. Martin Wilcox highlighted how data analytics enhances enforcement through graph analytics, in-database model deployment, and leveraging vector stores and multimodal AI for intelligent querying. The transition from a system of record to a system of intelligence was particularly compelling. The session on Mahacrime OS AI by Sri Harshe Poda sir, Sri Ram Ganesh and Sri Vikram Kale powerfully addressed the investigation crisis and showed how AI enables automated crime handle extraction and guided investigation workflows, combined with the 360-degree profiling, integrating with the CDR and other tools. Particularly, the emphasis on human-in-the-loop architecture ensures accountability alongside efficiency. The session on AI for ease of compliance by Sri Shashi Bhushan Shukla sir illustrated the department's income tax department's evolution towards AI-driven platforms such as Insight 2.0, ITBA 2.0, and Saksham Nudge. Sir explained how large-scale data integration and cross-validation enable risk-based, proactive, and real-time compliance support. The focus was on shifting from enforcement-led systems to AI-enabled trust-based voluntary compliance and taxpayer-centric services. The session on Mule Hunter by Sri Suvendu Pati highlighted free AI framework with its 7 sutras, 6 pillars, and structured recommendations balancing innovation and risk mitigation. The presentation on Mule Hunter demonstrated how advanced ML models, graph analytics, and real-time risk scoring are strengthening Mule account deductions. The proposed DPIP collaborative platform further reflects a forward-looking, ecosystem-wide approach to AI-enabled financial integrity and supervisory resilience. The session on AI-driven regulatory enforcement by Sri Avnesh Pandey highlighted how SEBI is operationalizing AI across enforcement, including proactive compliance review, real-time detection of misleading financial content and influencers, and AI-driven cybersecurity audit compliance. These initiatives reflect how AI can strengthen investor protection while ensuring regulatory prudence. A special word of appreciation to Srimati Amandeep Dano for her engaging and energizing moderation. Today's session reaffirmed that AI enhances risk intelligence, it improves service delivery, it strengthens regulatory oversight, and it enables data-driven governance. On behalf of CBDT, I extend heartfelt gratitude to all speakers, institutions, organizations, and participants. A special word of appreciation to the Principal CCIT Delhi Headquarters team and the DGIT Investigation team, Delhi, for the dedicated support and meticulous coordination in organizing this event. Thank you all for making this session impactful and forward-looking. With this, I formally conclude the session. Thank you all.